win over the weekend. We are live. I'm Brian Giffen. We are live at Over the Horizon Brewing, as we generally have been during football season. And Beyond the Barracks is presented by Cutwater Spirits. And to my immediate right, just getting seated, just catching his breath, the head coach of the Citadel, Maurice Drayton. And there's nothing like a Monday coming off a big win, is there? Let me give you some volume here. There we go.
Yeah, Monday after a big win feels good. The air smells fresher.
Right, the food
tastes better.
Right.
Everything's better.
Man, there's a lot to unpack from this game that you come off of, and obviously we'll focus a little bit more on that one and the season. We'll touch on what lies ahead, but obviously we look at the body of the season at this point also as you've wrapped up conference play, and I mean, what a strange game. You kind of get boat raced a little bit early in the game with the block punt. You know, it's not out of the realm for them to maybe go down the field and score on their first possession, but all of a sudden on a special teams play that you've generally had the upper hand in most of the year, block punt for them, they return it for a touchdown, and suddenly you find yourself down 2 scores, but no panic, no quit, no variance in urgency, any of that stuff. Everybody just kind of woke up and went to work and dominated the rest of the game.
Yeah, before I get into that, just want to thank everybody who made the trip to Spartanburg, to Wofford, to cheer us on, to bring home the Big Dog Trophy. And we want to thank everyone who's here tonight, especially those who come on a weekly basis. So thank you. But to your point, no, we didn't panic. The guys settled in. The best thing that happened to us, and I believe I leaned over to either Coach Coaxum or Coach Keith Jones, and I said, you know, the best thing about this is early.
Right.
We have plenty of time. We don't have to press. Let's just settle in and execute our game plan, and we did.
Down the stretch of the season, and honestly, even the Chattanooga game, the score would be an outlier in this case or misleading, as we talked about, but really for the balance of the season, your defense was such a strength of this team, and they stepped up big again on Saturday after spotting those guys, the 2-score lead. I mean, a whole quarter with 9 yards allowed. They're just stifling.
Yeah, now the defense did a great job, but what helps that is a complementary offense.
Right.
And the offense did a great job of playing what I call my brand of football, a boring brand of ball, where you get 4 yards here, 2 yards here, 6 yards here. Well, you may lose 3, but as long as you're averaging 4.5 yards per play, we got a chance.
Right, you're always going to get first downs because the math adds up in your favor. You know, you were going to say 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but nowadays, most of the time, it's 3 yards in a cloud of tire balls because it's rare that you get to play on a grass field.
Yeah,
this game was on. You know what? That was as good a playing surface, grass-wise, as I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was, especially this time of year.
Right, it looked like a fairway.
Exactly. They did a good job, but we probably have to thank the Panthers for that. That's where they used to have their training camp. So their facility is top-notch. The practice fields look good. The game field look good. It's a great venue.
Yeah, that's the continuing influence of Jerry Richardson, who, of course, founded the Panthers, former NFL wide receiver, all that stuff. Well, it's a good win on a lot of fronts. Good game for JB, too, as he, winds his way toward the end of his college career. Played a big part in this one, had a good game on the ground, threw for a couple of scores, threw a pretty good amount, threw for all the yards you would need anyway.
Yes, exactly. JB's doing a great job for us. Per reception, he is 15th in the country, which is outstanding. Dervon, one of our graduate receivers, he's 11th nationally per catch as well. So having those two together has been really, really good for us. And the beauty of it for me is they're local talents, local products. Somerville and Moncks Corner. It doesn't get better than that.
So you win 5 games thus far. Look, you go into every game planning to win it. You win 5 games thus far, coming off such a tough season a year ago. It's got to be a huge, and we've talked about it all year, it's got to be a hugely satisfying thing that you've turned this around this way, largely with the same guys that struggled through that last year.
Yeah, definitely most of the same guys. I will say that Yes, we've won 5 games, but we're hungry because there's a lot of meat that we left on the bone. We are 4 points away from having 7 wins. You got the 1-point loss to Furman, and everybody knows how I feel about that when I got the letter from the official saying, hey, that call shouldn't have been overturned.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He said there's no way they should overturn that the strip sack for a touchdown. Yeah. And then you have South Carolina State, which we lost that one by a field goal. Yeah. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. You are what your record says you are, but we're using that for fuel for our fire as we go into this next contest, and then we'll continue to utilize that going into the off season.
I don't want to put you on the spot, and at some point I'll ask you this, but I'm curious, since as we've talked during the season, that even though this guy may be a senior, this guy may be a graduate transfer type player, I'm curious, based on eligibility, how many guys on your current team you'll be able to try to bring back? But that's something we can cross another day.
Yeah, we'll cross that another day. The beauty about being a Citadel man or woman and being in our program is this. You're going to have options. So once these guys graduate, even though they have eligibility left, they're going to have the opportunity to go out in the workforce and make good money because we don't deal in NILs and we don't pay our players. Our players play because they love the game. We lost a lineman when I got here year 1, Darius Drayton. I call him my cousin. He had a job starting off at $85,000. I'm putting his business in the street. So what do you do? Do you go get that 85, or do you come back for a semester and play football for us? So we have some guys who are going to have to make that decision. I'll say this: JGB, we want him back, Javante Graves Billups, but he may have the opportunity to get into PT school. So do we ask him to delay his life, or do we champion his efforts to get into school? And that answer is easy for us. We champion their efforts to better their future.
It's a good thing. The timing of bringing him up is perfect. He had a really big game in this one, couple of touchdown catches, and he's just been such an impactful guy in a number of ways.
You're right about a number of ways, not just on the football field, and we try our best to get him the ball in space, but what he does off the field, he is our military captain as well as being our captain on the field, and he does a great job in leading men, leading these guys to do the right thing, heading off things early, and he just does a great job, outside of football.
How much do guys like him and some of these other veterans that have been around here a while and have been a part of the team this year, upperclassmen, no doubt, grad student player in a couple of cases, no doubt, how much have those guys been helpful with the younger ones that were so young a year ago when you guys had such a tough year? But in that development process, how about the influence of some of these older guys on these guys to A, come back, B, work that much harder, and C, get the rewards?
I can truly say this. On this team, we do not have any cliques. We have people who hang out with each other, but it's not cliquish. These guys, especially the upperclassmen, they have done a great job of taking ownership in that, hey, we want to grow these puppies along with you, Coach. Let's help grow these puppies and turn them into bulldogs. And it's been a fun process to watch this maturation happen before our eyes.
Another one I'd like to talk about is Cooper Wallace, where here down the stretch, here's another guy that did come back this year. He'll be done this year. He moves on, but he has ripped off a couple of big runs for you down the stretch of the season and has played a key role as you guys turn things around after the tough Furman loss.
Yes, he's a really good football player. I love watching him play. I actually call him Goldilocks. It's a source of contention with some grads, but he is a graduate. Believe it or not, he's within military regulations, so that part is good. But I tell you what, he's dynamic. He's fast. He's quick. He pass protects well. He's smart. He understands the offense inside and out. We've been very blessed to have him. And where in the seasons previous to now, he's been nicked up. He's been injured with some soft tissue stuff. But that's a testament to what he has done to his body as far from a rehab and prehab process. So I'm very excited about what he's done.
I think undoubtedly it's helped him as well as the others too to be part of this group of 4 guys that can kind of plug and play, even though they have different skill sets. As you talked about, you inevitably would stay a lot fresher for one thing. The other thing that stood out, I didn't get to see it much last year. The other thing that stood out about him is once he gets in the open, if he's got to step on you, he's gone.
He can run. He can run. He can run. Yeah, the great architect in the sky blessed him. He gave him some wheels.
So was there a point, I mean, obviously I think they had the 14-0 lead, like 8:26 to go in the first quarter. Was there an instance or a situation somewhere right after that time period where you felt like it turned in your favor? Was there anything in particular that you felt like kind of flipped it for you?
No, not at that point. It was really, hey, let's get to our plan, the plan that we said we're going to execute. We stayed calm, stayed patient, started executing that plan, and it wasn't like it was a overwhelming momentum that you could see in a surge. We were just methodical about our process, and that's what we talk about with our team. Trust the process, enjoy the process, fall in love with the process, and in the end, that's when we'll judge.
You talked about Ryan Ingram for them and how he would probably be a featured guy, and he certainly was, and one that you would have to contain. He got his yards, but most of the yards he got were very early in the ball game, and whatever adjustments you made, you obviously slowed him down. Again, I mean, I said this at the outset, but 9 yards in one whole quarter of football, that's a heck of a defensive effort.
Yeah, no, they did a great job, and what I will say, I'm rehashing some of the things I said earlier. For whatever reason, this team, I don't know if it's confidence levels or what, we almost have to be hit in the face before we say, okay, we can play with these guys. It's almost like we steady our way into it. We stick our toe in the water instead of jumping in head first. And that's what we're going to have to do this upcoming week to have a chance.
Right. It's kind of like the old boxing analogy about the puncher and the counter puncher.
Yeah.
The only way you're ever going to be the aggressor is to be the puncher.
That's right.
And the other thing is, if you're the counter puncher, you just got to hope somebody doesn't land a haymaker on you before you get a chance to counter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so you play Clemson this week. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show as a little bit different game than all the ones you've prepared for since you've been here in one respect. In the other, you're going to put your best game plan out there. You're going to go in there with the same intention you do every week, regardless of what the odds are and the conditions surrounding the game.
Yeah, definitely best foot forward. We have a plan. We're developing up our plan, and we'll move forward with that. And like you alluded to, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get a little closer.
So we've got more coming up for you on Beyond the Barracks tonight. Lamar Owens is here for one. We're going to get a little bit more into the four-headed monster running back situation. We'll talk a little bit more about JB and how the offense responded in this too. Look, you spotted them a 14-point lead and rolled them 30-3 the rest of the way. There's a lot to unpack there. So we'll get into that with Lamar. Coming up a little bit later, I think we've got the baseball coach, Russell Triplett, again.
Yeah, Russell's supposed to come back. He was a fan favorite. He was with us, week 3 maybe?
Yeah, and you know, when he was out here, we ran out of time to talk to him, so we can allocate some more. And now his season isn't terribly far on the horizon either. This is Beyond the Barracks, presented by Cutwater Spirits. I'm Brian Giffen with the Citadel head football coach, Maurice Drayton. Thrilled to be here at Over the Horizon Brewing. Haven't been here in a couple of weeks myself between personal stuff and a basketball game in Boston, but it's good to be back. We will take a time out. We're here. I want to remind you, too, that the one, the only, Joe Mack is at the console in the studio tonight, and Joe will run the following commercials. On the other side of it, we'll come back with more. Lamar Owens will be up here. Back with more after this. You're listening to the Citadel Bulldogs Radio Network. Beyond the Barracks continues. Brian Giffen with now Lamar Owens, the co-offensive coordinator of the Citadel, as we look back a little bit at this game Saturday over Wofford. A 30-17 win for the Bulldogs, and in so doing got their 5th win of the season with 1 game left to go. As mentioned, Lamar Owens alongside now co-offensive coordinator of the Bull. As an offensive coordinator and a play caller, between however you and Pat kind of split those things up,
right,
there's not a lot in the playbook for, oh, Lord, what do we do when we're down 2 scores here? But I think the important point I'm making here is that everybody kind of, kept even keel and all that stuff. You got 3.5 quarters to chip away. And you not only chipped away, but you pretty much took the game over.
Yeah, Saturday was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun just watching the young guys execute. I really believe that over the course of this season, we've gotten more efficient and just stronger as an offensive unit week to week. And Saturday was no different. Being down 14-0 after only being out there one time, there's nothing else to do but to band together and keep putting the ball down and move the chain and see if we can get in the paint. And we were able to do that and get some momentum and help the team.
At the time, none of us knew it, but back in the opener when you guys came from 18 down to beat Charleston Southern on the road, little did we know that night, I'm glad it did, but little did we know that night that kind of overcoming some of that stuff would become sort of a hallmark of this team. You guys have gotten in some spots where you've been down a couple of scores or one thing or the other and have just bounced back nicely from it most of the time and fought your way back into the game when it threatens to get away a little bit, and it certainly looked that way Saturday, at least early in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Coach Drayton has done a remarkable job building this program and getting us to this point, and we are extremely resilient as a unit, as an offensive unit and as a team. I think that's one thing that's undeniable. And so when we were down 14-0, it was really just kind of business as usual. We just got to go out there and keep playing. We had a plan. Coach Drayton didn't panic. Offensive coaches didn't panic. Defensive coaches didn't panic. Nobody panicked. We just kept playing. And then guys made some plays. JB made a couple huge throws on 3rd down, and JGB he caught some huge balls, and O-line did their job, and we were able to just run the ball efficient enough to take some shots, and we were able to hit some early.
Yeah, I think you guys piled up just under 200 on the ground. You'll take that any time, especially with a little bit of balance. It's interesting because, and look, as a co-offensive coordinator here, this is the 2nd year really that you guys have had this offensive system.
Right.
You return so many guys that were trying to find their way in it a little bit a year ago. They're a year older, a year more experienced, a year wiser, and they also took to their roles in this and executed pretty well.
Yes. Each week we look at different factors. How efficient are we in the red zone? Are we taking care of the ball? What are we doing on 3rd down? And as we look back at the game in totality on Saturday, in the columns that mattered for us as an offensive unit, we were good to go. We were all green, so that's great. And the way we've designed this offense, we want to be efficient running the ball. We want to be able to take the air out of the game in the 3rd or 4th quarter if we have the lead, so we can set up our defense. But we also want to be explosive. We want to be able to pass the ball efficiently. We don't want to be one-dimensional where you're only running it and you can't throw. We have to be able to attack, when we're down, and we have to be able to close out a game and take the air out of it when we're up.
I'd like to get your thoughts on the season JB has had. The best word I could use to describe him is that he's been really steady. He's been steady. He's obviously been very productive on one hand, but he's also been steady in that for the most part, yes, you're going to turn the ball over here, there, this and that, but for the most part, there's been kind of a generalship thing where it kind of feels as though everybody's got their confidence, everything's going okay with him out there.
Yeah, having JB this year has been good for our offense. He was a great addition to our team. Not only just what he does on the field, but even off the field. He's definitely a unifier for us on offense, and he helps kind of keep everybody calm in a sense. There's some plays I'm sure in this season that he wishes he had back. There's some calls this season that I wish I had back.
Right.
So that's just the nature of it, and that's how it goes. But I think on Saturday against Wofford, he had his most efficient day passing the ball, and I think that was also set up by the O-line and the running backs giving him a secure pocket. And also we were able to run the ball effectively where we could throw the ball when we wanted to, not because we were behind the chains and we had to.
This game was misleading in a lot of ways. The reason I bring that up, I'm getting at you're you're down 14-0 and all that stuff, it skews how the rest of the game feels for me calling it, because the game shouldn't have been as close as it turns out as it was after they got that special teams touchdown. In other words, once we got into the late third quarter, and you're pulling away a little bit, now you start to see it. But in reality, you really started to dominate this game early in the first half. I mean, once you get past the 14-point lead, you shut them down and won the game 30-3 from then. And it didn't feel that way, though, because they're up 14-0.
Yeah, and I think it's just a testament to our team. Winning is fun. As Coach Drayton says, the fun is in the winning. But we talked as a team on Friday, and one of the words that I do remember the players saying was that they wanted to dominate on Saturday. And, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to go do it, and we kind of had our backs against the wall, and we came out and dominated from the second quarter on. Once we took the lead, we didn't relinquish it. So it's always fun to win, but it's definitely fun to win when all three phases can contribute. I mean, special teams, we got stopped, I believe, in the third or fourth quarter, and our punter pins one down on the 9-yard line. Then we get a fumble, and then we score in one play. Right. That was our first one-play touchdown drive of the season. That was a great feeling. It's
unbelievable how well this defense has played. Realistically, a good bit of this season. They kept you in the games, including some that you didn't win. Mm-hmm. They were a difference maker in a lot of the games that you did win.
Absolutely.
And they just flat out, straight up slammed the door on Saturday, midway through the second quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, each unit feeds off of each other, and I do believe that our team is pretty close this year. I think offensively we're close, defensively we're close, special teams, but I also think that the units are close, and I think that's helped us here down the stretch where we've kind of gotten on a roll and we've been able to win some games in a team fashion.
I'd love to talk a little bit about these 4 running backs that you guys have utilized this year. Coach and I were talking about Cooper a little bit ago, and he's probably been that much fresher because you've had 4 really capable guys that you've rotated and used quite well throughout the season.
Yeah, well, I think that's a testament to Coach Sands as well, just, keeping those guys ready and just bringing them all along. And, Coop has had 2 huge runs the past 2 weeks, which makes everything, 2 or 3 weeks, which makes everything better, especially when we can pop an inside zone for about 50 yards. And I believe against Chat, he popped one for about 50 yards on a counter. So even Garrison Johnson has been a pleasant surprise for us this season. He's been able to get some hard, tough yards in a short yardage situation, and Johnny Crawford and Corey, they've both been solid. So we've been fortunate to have 4 guys that can go out there and get some tough yards for us and keep the chains moving.
One of the things, having only been here the 1 year last year when I got here, that I didn't realize coming into the season, because the way last year went, you come into the season, you think, well, all these SoCon games are going to be really tough. But the one thing I think that you guys proved to yourselves is now I think you can pretty much compete with, and essentially if you make the right plays and the fewer mistakes, you can beat any of these teams.
Yes, early in the year, at least offensively, I believe we were searching for who are we, and we had an idea of who we were, with what our identity was, and then over the course of the season, we were able to really establish that. And once October, November hit, we were able to really just hang our hat on a few things. And one of it is our 4-headed running back room, and then getting JB comfortable and finding some efficient throws for him. And the receivers, when they chip in, and we can go, 11 for 18 or 12 for 17 for 160, 175, and you almost add 200 yards rushing, and we can play clean with no turnovers. We're going to be pretty hard to beat.
Lee Glaze and I went out prior to the game and stopped and saw some folks from the Spartanburg chapter of the Citadel Alumni Association. Had a big tailgate party. A couple of those guys were Lee's classmates back from 1986. And we were out there, and, they were to a man talking about how much the alums in these rivalries between Furman and Wofford in particular, and VMI, some of these that you have a rivalry with like that. And they were all lamenting before we've got to beat these guys. I don't want to hear any more of this. We've got to be. How much do you think that carries? How much do players consider? I mean, look, every game you're trying to win, every game you're out there giving your best, all that stuff. But how much do players have passion for these rivalries? Did any players take notice that these guys had won 21 of the last 25 meetings, for instance?
I think that's a part of it. I'm not sure if the players were aware of the whole 21 out of 25 of the rivalry, but I know that they were aware that we were playing for a trophy, and that winner goes home with something. And I know the guys wanted to get win number 5. They wanted to close out our SoCon conference season, with a win. So there definitely was some internal motivation of how do we get this win against a conference rival, and it was a big game for us. So we were fortunate we were able to pull it out.
Well, it sure has been a fun season. Obviously, one game to go. A little bit different type of game than most of the ones on the schedule, but one you prepare for the same as any of them, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a challenge for sure, but it's still just football. Anything can happen. We know exactly who we are after 11 games together, so it's just up to us to go put our best game together and go just be who we are and go play our game.
And there are a lot of positive things too, aside from how it benefits the football operation, the football program. These players get to have one of the cool lifetime lasting experiences too, to go play an FBS powerhouse like that in a legendary stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago when I played at the Naval Academy, we played Notre Dame every year, and it was always a huge game. Some games were closer than others, but you go in there and you're going to go play your game.
Right.
And, we're going to see what happens.
Let the dust settle, or in this case, the turf balls in a lot of these stadiums. Hey, I really appreciate everything all year long. We got a ways to go here.
Yes.
But Lamar Owen spending time with us here on Beyond the Barracks here in segment 2. We'll take a timeout here. We'll come back and we'll bring Russell Triplett up here. We'll talk a little bit about baseball. It's really not that far away, as the new baseball coach at the Citadel, Russell Triplett, will join us next. Right here, we take a timeout. We say thanks to Lamar Owens for coming out and coming out hanging out with us.
All right. Thank you.
I was going to give you a chance to drop a go. There you go. There you go. Lamar Owens, everybody. Back with more after this. You're listening to the Citadel Bulldogs Radio Network. back with Beyond the Barracks. Yeah, it's Monday night, and we're once again at Over the Horizon Brewing for Beyond the Barracks, our Monday night show, as we look back at a great win for the Citadel on Saturday over the weekend. By the way, not on with us tonight, but a couple other names. Tony Coaxum is in the house tonight. Good to see the special teams guru over there, Tony Coaxum. Also, Barry Casterlin, who works with tight ends. So good representation of coaches from Citadel football here tonight. And
big time week.
Yeah.
What a week. What
right,
a weekend.
And we've got a representation from the baseball program as Russell Triplett, the Citadel baseball coach, sits down for a few minutes here. And we're a few months into it now. You know, you're past all the press conferences, you're past all the intros, you're past all that, and you're in the middle of fall ball with your team. What are your thoughts on things as we sit here, on the eve of December, so to speak?
Well, we're going through a tough time right now. This is the end of the fall meetings. We have our challenge week this week that we're going to challenge them in a lot of different ways, and they're working on bringing something to the table to their team, and it's just about a team type deal, and every person on the team gets points. So we're trying to push the team aspect right now, but we're having these individual fall meetings, and I think honesty is the best way to go. They don't always like hearing certain things, and I certainly don't have it figured out, but I want them to know that we expect certain things and that we got to get on the same page. So I think the fall overall was good. I think we finished better than when we started, and I think that's how we'll evaluate the end of the year. We need to be better when we get back from Christmas break. The next challenge in college baseball is what they're going to do over Christmas.
Right.
And you have a tendency to think, man, I worked so hard over the fall, I need a break. And you do need a break. You need to get away, but you got to work and prepare for the college baseball season, which is a grind. And you're talking about 56 games in a short amount of time, and if you take too long of a break over Christmas, you're not prepared. And then what you see is you start off okay, and then you start trending backwards as you go through the year. And from day one, we want to be at our best at the time that this thing's all over. And whether we win or lose, we want to be at our best as a team, individually, the whole deal, and we want to work towards that all the way through. So it's been a challenge. It's been slow because whenever something's new, it always takes a little bit longer.
Right.
But no, I've been impressed with the way they work. I've been impressed with the leadership from our older guys. Any person I've talked to about this, I'm going to say the same things so they stand out to me. But we're excited to get going. This week is going to be tough, and then when we finish this week, we can't touch them until they get back from Christmas break.
Right.
And so we're relying on them, and hopefully we set the tone for what needs to happen, and they come back more prepared than when they left.
How is your roster put together? Now, look, we're in an age of college sports where these things change, year to year. How is your roster in terms of returners as opposed to newcomers?
It's same as most years. I think we brought in, there was 14 guys in this class. We returned a lot. We got a lot of older guys with a lot of experience.
Right.
And I think that there's no substitute in college baseball for experience. And we certainly have that. Whether they believe it's good or bad, experience leads to better things if you learn from it. So I like the leadership in our group. I like our older guys. I just don't want us to get caught up in, there's two different mindsets when you get the thing going when games come into play.
Right.
And you start winning and losing. And a team that's not used to winning tends to think, here we go again. Same deal, different year. A winning team gets punched around a little bit and knows that if it was a tough weekend, I got to be a little more detailed when I show up Monday. I got to be a little more detailed throughout the week because we still got a month and a half here to keep working to be at our best. And you got two different outlooks on it, but the best teams in the country go through the same thing. So we're going to have to battle certain things to get over the hump and move in the right direction as a program, but it comes down to the leadership in the program, and our seniors and this school builds leaders, man, and builds men. And in the short time I've been here, it's not just with them. Coach Drayton and what he's building and his staff and what they do, and I keep saying it. It's not because I'm on here. It's as impressive as a person I've been around. Top to bottom, an organization that is professional, and you see it as they go through, and they've battled some tough times throughout, and it's been impressive, and we're trying to emulate that, and we're a little behind where he is and when we're starting, but we're trying to get better each day. We're certainly better now than when we started, and that's how we have to keep it going.
your career has kind of spanned that period where we transitioned so much from the older school methods, the eye test, the way games were scouted, the way players were scouted, to now you introduce all the analytics that are such a big part of baseball at really all levels. And everybody's approach is different. You know, sometimes you have to honor new approaches and new methods and embrace them and all that stuff. But Brian Snitker in Atlanta, great example, good friend, and he would tell you to this day, if you're having a private conversation, you know, I know how to manage my team. If they just get it, but he has found a way to use the analytics and his old school eye test and character measurement and all that stuff, and it's won for him. But every coach is different in that regard, and how you embrace those things varies case to case.
Well, I think you got to mesh the two. I think we as coaches have to be what we want as players and willing to make minor adjustments. And you're not changing who you are as a person, but you got to be willing to make minor adjustments as you go through the course of a season. And I think the analytics are part of it. I think the analytics get in the way at times, and stuff becomes more important than substance and getting outs. And the game hasn't changed. Now analytics, and there's more resources there to learn from what's going on. But you know, we battled a little bit with our guys, and I'm not real happy when a guy asks about his analytics when we haven't thrown many strikes.
Right.
And, you know, we've got a certain thing in place. You've got to throw a certain percentage of strikes before you get the analytical numbers, because at the end of the day, man, you've got to throw the ball over plate.
Right.
And I think as an organization, as a program, that's one area that we're focusing on, that we all know that we've got to attack the strike zone a little bit more, but use the analytics to fine tune within the zone. And I think that it takes a combination of both. But I think you get caught up in one side or the other, you're missing an opportunity to get better and learn and adjust to the game. But analytics are certainly a part of it, but it comes down to knowing your guys and how certain players handle big moments. And, you know, we try to talk about it all the time. Your great players do the little things in the biggest moments, not some great play that comes out. They do the little things, and at the end, you evaluate them and identify them as a great player. And I think instead of trying to be a great player on one play, do the little things throughout, and in return, the evaluation of you will be a great player. And we're trying to work on those things. We're hitting on attention to detail, and even in this challenge, every little thing matters. And I think as we continue to do that, we become a little more attention to detail on the field, and we're not far off.
Right.
But neither is the best team in the country and the team that's left out and the team way behind. It's a lot of little things, and you think it's talent. We have enough ability here if we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for the better good of the group. And we got to become a little more unselfish in our at-bats and the way we pitch. And it's no different than any other team. And I like where we stand right now, but the best teams in the country separate themselves from today and over Christmas break. And then they separate themselves again in the preseason. And then, you know, you got your non-conference game. There's so many different parts to this whole deal, and the team that continues to get better and takes pride, and those are the teams that are there at the end. We got enough ability here. We got to continue to work to get better and keep up.
We laughed about it during the break. I got to use it. And it's the greatest thing about the analytics of pitching. The thing at spring training in the Nationals bullpen, where there's a big sign there where the pitchers can all see it that says, nobody cares how electric ball 4 is.
Yeah, ball 4 is, and it's something that we're harping on both sides. We've got to value the walk more on offense. I don't think we do. I think we're trying to hit and get our numbers offensively and with the swing, and we've got to value the walk a little more there, and then we've got to give up a few less. And the more you're in the strike zone, the less free bases you give up. Obviously, you got a better chance to win. So, the plan's in place. That's the easy part, and I think most coaches will tell you that. The execution of the plan is the tough part, and we've got to harp on those things every day and make sure it's important. But if you're going to pound the zone, you got to play defense,
right?
You know, and they go hand in hand. And so we're working on trying to play a better team game. But I certainly like and appreciate the work ethic of these guys throughout the fall. They haven't let up. They show up each day. They're happy to be there, which makes me excited. And as long as we continue to do that, the end result will take care of itself. But it's been awesome for me I love seeing them each day. I love the way they go about things. They may struggle here and there, but this whole journey has been unbelievable to this point, and it's the people in the athletic department. It's the player. It's everybody, and it's a family type deal. And this place is special, and I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm fortunate to be a part of it, and we want to continue to enjoy each day and make each day the best.
You know, one of the things about working in professional baseball for 23 years, I can tell you, is that most people figure out baseball, spring, April. But you know what? Once the holidays come and go, it is coming fast. And it does. I mean, you guys start a lot earlier than any of the pro stuff does. Once you clear the holidays, you're in the express lane to having games.
Yeah, and if you look forward to that too much, man, the championships are won before the event,
right?
And they're won in the fall. They're won in their time away from here. What we can't happen is do all this work throughout the entire fall and then have to spend the first 3-4 weeks to try to get back to where we left. We got to build on that, and it's up to them to have a little ownership, a little maturity to go home. And how important is this to them, and are they willing to work over the break? And they've got 4 or 5 weeks on their own that they can continue to get better, or we're going to have to spend that time to catch up to where we left. So it's up to them.
It'll tell you a lot about guys too when you see what kind of shape they're in when they come back.
How important it is to them, you know, and you got to make sacrifice. It's easy not to do anything over the break, and that's what most do. But you can't have certain goals and the work not match the goal. And these guys have set goals, and to this point, the work has matched the goals, and it's got to match it when they're away from here too. But certainly a good group. I can't wait for people to come watch them play in the spring. I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing them out there after these tough days over and over and over again to get out there and let loose and play. And the only thing I can guarantee is that they're going to play as hard as they possibly can. And that's my job and part of my responsibilities, and make sure that we put a group on the field that people respect and appreciate. And it's going to be tough to make a lineup right now, and as long as that's the case, we're getting better, and we're moving in the right direction as a program.
Look forward to calling those games. There's one of the things about all that baseball in my DNA is you can't wait to start calling those games either. You just love doing it. Hey, I could sit here and talk ball with you all day long. We'll get opportunities too on future shows to be able to do this, but I really appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
We can sit here and talk baseball with you forever, man.
Thank you. I appreciate what you guys do for us, for the entire athletic department, and it's an exciting time to be a Bulldog. So go Dogs.
And it's an exciting time to get to tell the stories too. We will get with Coach Drayton here in a couple minutes, and we'll set the scene for this season finale against Clemson as we wrap up Beyond the Barracks. We'll take this time out, and we'll come back with some final thoughts and a look ahead after that. A salute to Joe Mack running us in the studio tonight. We take a time out here, back with the final segment of Beyond the Barracks. After this, we're live at Over the Horizon Brewing, and it is presented by Cutwater Spirits. Back after this on the Citadel Bulldogs Radio Network. And we're back for the final segment tonight, Beyond the Barracks at Over the Horizon Brewing, presented by Cutwater Spirits. I'm Brian Giffen, and back up here with us is Maurice Drayton, the head football coach. As now you get ready for a season finale against a very good program. It's one of those games. You're going to go play Clemson in Death Valley, and look, the challenges don't get any bigger.
No, the challenges does not get any bigger. I tell you what, Clemson, their program and what they've been able to do over the years under Coach Sweeney is unbelievable. You know, I hold him in the highest regard in our profession and as a man and in life. You know, I tell the story all the time, what he was able to do and what he did for my son. And, you know, I can't say enough good things about Coach Sweeney.
Yeah, and he's had a great run up there, you know. It's a tough business. Look, he's had to adapt with a lot of this stuff. He's taken a lot of criticism because he hasn't embraced just doing this the way everybody else is, and he, you know, has his own beliefs about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. All the guy's done up there is win.
Yeah, nothing what he's done is wrong, and he's held his ground. And yeah, this is a very good football team. You look at their record, you look where they are. It'll be a tall task,
right?
But I look forward to the task. When you look at their offense, I mean, they produced over 700 yards of offense versus Appalachian State.
Yeah.
You know, they average
that's a lot.
Absolutely. They average close to 500 yards a game. So this is a high-powered offense. I'm excited about it because our defense, we feel, is pretty good. This will be a test for our people going forward, and, you know, we look forward to it.
Lamar and I talked a little bit about this when he was up here, and my intent was to get with you on this one too. The experience these kids get to have, to go play, in a lot of cases, maybe the final game of their college career, or even if it's not, still a very big game in their college career. They get the experience of getting to play against a legendary program in a legendary venue on the biggest stage and all that stuff, and there's a lot of value in that.
There is value in it, but I also tell our kids, hey, you're legendary.
Right.
The Citadel's legendary. What you are going to do is nothing that no one before you has not done differently. The field is 100 yards.
Right.
It's the same
You're like
dimensions.
Gene Hackman and the Hoosiers with the
seriously,
tape measure now.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's the same dimensions.
Right.
They put their pants on one leg at a time. That's the same way you do. You know, don't make it bigger than what it is. The only reason why it's a big game is because it's the next one.
Right.
And that's what we preach every single week, regardless of who we're playing.
How do you feel about the fact that this one comes at the end of the season as opposed to, you know, playing in the first couple of weeks where you've got an odds-on chance in any game to get guys beat up, nicked up, whatever it is. And this one, as it so happens at the end of the season. I guess Wofford's playing Carolina same way.
Exactly. So I believe it depends on the maturation process of your team. Where we are right now and what our record states, I'm okay where this game is. If we were prepping for the playoffs, I would not like it at all.
Right.
You know, I was in the Coastal Carolina program. When I left, it was a playoff team, and they played the University of South Carolina, and they rested a lot of people. And then in round one of the playoffs, they were not as fresh.
Right.
So I think it just depends on where your team is. If I had my druthers, if I had the decision to pick it every year, I would play it probably week 3.
Right.
Week 4.
Early in
of
the
each
season. Before you get into honestly, it might be a good thing in week 3 or 4 for the ultimate test before you get into conference play where you're going to be tested every week.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic, and I know you know the full situation. This occurred to me a few days ago. This is dangerous, by the way. But I look back to, so you were at Coastal, and you look back to the Joe Moglia era.
Yes.
And I thought it was a great story, and he was a good guy to deal with, so I don't mean this. But think about this. We live in an age right now where Joe Moglia could go and become a head coach somewhere and basically recruit his own players, even with NIL.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But I tell you what now, this is what people don't know. He was a football coach before he left. No, even before that.
Okay.
He was a football coach, then he left and got into the business world. So that was always in his blood. It was always in his...
That's why he went back.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just his call.
Exactly.
But it just occurred to me in the NIL era, why couldn't somebody do that?
You're right. You know? I understand that the head coach at Charlotte, he's very blessed financially as well. So
yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
It just, I mean, obviously that'd be a little bit over the top, but just sitting there thinking about how wild west all of it's because of really what would stop the guy from doing that. What do you see as the big keys in your mind that you want to see your team accomplish? Obviously, you want to win every game.
Yes.
But what are the things that would make you happy on Saturday if you can go in and accomplish?
This is what would make me happy on Saturday. If on defense we played fast from the very beginning. Don't wait to gain confidence to say, hey, I can play with the opponent. So I want them to play fast. The other one is this. With the opponent we're playing, I want to affect the quarterback and effect the quarterback. So affect is a verb.
Right.
So verb, it means action. We have to have action. We have to make it happen. Effect, we want to effect the quarterback as well because that's a result of the action. So if we can do those two things in addition to winning in the red zone, because Clemson is very, very strong in the red zone, if we can do that, I will be very pleased with our defensive effort. On offense, we have to play clean. We have to have great communication because it's going to be very noisy. It's going to be very loud. So I want to take the time now to apologize to everybody in the community. I'm going to crank up the crowd noise, and it's going to be extra loud this week at practice. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 4 to 6, it's going to be very loud. So I'm telling everybody in advance, just for them. So on offense, we have to play clean. We have to be able to communicate. And last but not least, I think it's very important, win the fourth quarter. We changed that goal that we had not early on, but at the back half of the season, win the fourth quarter. It used to be finish, but we want to win the fourth quarter because we've been in every game for the most part going into the fourth quarter, and now we have to learn how to win that quarter, and we'll be successful. And on special teams, especially after having a punt block, we have to have elite punt protection, and then we have to transfer that into relentless coverage because they have a pretty dangerous return man. And then special teams, play fast and free. We've been good all season. Be confident in what we've done this season. Don't stick your toe in. Jump in head first.
Well, I just want to say, as we're here at the end of SoCon play, we'll have a show, and, of course, after the game next week, so you'll be here, and we'll kind of put a bow on the season and that game. But just wanted to tell you how much fun it's been for Lee and I both, and doing these with you guys, too, to get to be along for the ride for this as we've watched you guys turn the corner on this thing and have a really good season. I mean, look, it's a huge step forward. Nobody says you don't have a long way to go, but took a big step forward this year. That's been a lot of fun to watch, man.
Yes, it has been fun. It's been fun coaching this team. I can't wait to see where we're going to go. This offseason, I've already started with our strength coach, Coach Joe Varga, with our offseason plans and what we plan on doing. And it's going to be rough. It's going to be tough, and it's not for the faint of heart. And for those who survive, they will understand going from 0 to 5 wins. Now we got to go from 5 to, I don't ever want to put a prediction on it, 5 to wherever we go, but it's going to be
5 to more.
5 to more. Yeah. I might put that on a T-shirt this offseason.
From 5 to more.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but we're going to get after it.
Well, I want to say thanks to everyone that's been out here at Beyond the Barracks. And it's been fun every week. We love having this show out here, and we love having all you guys here. And look, Bulldog Nation, the football season's been fun. We got a ways to go, and the needle is definitely pointing up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
That'll do it for Beyond the Barracks. I want to say thanks to everybody. Lamar Owens. I want to say thanks to the others we mentioned that came. I want to say thanks to Coach Triplett from baseball coming. And thanks to all of you that came out here wearing Citadel blue to have some fun tonight. Thanks a bunch, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
That'll do it.